Jesus just wants us to know that every one of us are going to have to give an accounting. That there is a cost involved in following after me. And the real kicker in all of this, the key verse is to be found there in verse 48, the last half of verse 48, where he says, from everyone who has been given much, much will be required. And to whom they entrusted much, that is, to whom is entrusted even more, of him they will ask all the more as well. So that's the underlying premise. You need to be prepared because there is going to be a forthcoming judgment when the Lord returns again. And so you're going to be held accountable. To whom much is given, much is required. To whom more is given, even more is going to be required. And so he makes it very clear that we're going to be tested, if you will. You'll be tested over what you have and what you know. And we're going to be held responsible for much, for a great deal. To whom much is given, much is required. To whom is given much more will be required. So we're going to be tested over this issue of much, and it holds us accountable. Well, what are the issues for which we're responsible? What is the opportunities that are given to us? What are we responsible for? Well, as disciples, as those who have picked up this calling and answered this call of the Spirit, where Jesus says, follow me. And that's all he ever says. In this journey of discipleship, it begins with this answer to the call of Jesus, who just says, follow me. You go through the gospel, that's all he ever says, follow me. If you want to be my disciple, follow me. And so responding to that and how that informs our life, there's all kinds of opportunities that are presented to us for which we're going to be accountable. Life opportunities. You see, that's really what he's speaking to in this entire exchange about being on the alert, being ready there in verse 35. Be dressed in readiness and keep your lamps lit. Be like men who are waiting for their master when he returns from the wedding feast, so that they may immediately open the door to him when he comes and knocks. Blessed are those slaves whom the master will find on the alert. See, ready, being on the alert. It's about being attentive to the things of God. Being on the alert, that he will find on the alert when he comes. Truly I say to you, that he will gird himself to serve and have them recline at the table and will come up and wait on them. Whether he comes in the second watch, that is 9 to 12 o'clock at night, or even in the third watch, midnight till 3 in the morning, and finds them so, that is ready to serve. They're on the alert. Blessed are those slaves. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have allowed his house to be broken into. You too be ready. For the Son of Man is coming at an hour that you do not expect. So readiness, alertness. It's about seizing the opportunities that we have. Now, a lot of times we think of this in grandiose terms. Oh, I got to do something really big for God. No, it's interesting that the parable, the metaphor that he uses, the imagery that he uses is a servant in a household. He's just talking about in our basic functions in your household. This is your platform. This is the starting place to see the gospel influencing your life as a husband, as a wife, as a mother, as a father, as someone that's part of a household. Listen, if you can live your faith at home, then I'm telling you, everywhere else is easy. Because at home is where the real you comes out. I mean, that's where you let down your guard. That is the real you. And if you can master living your faith at home, because that's really what he's talking about. Being obedient, be faithful. How are you prepared? How are you ready? By being obedient in the little things on a daily basis, wherever your feet find themselves. But in the household, start there. Because if you're obedient and faithful at home in your role and your task there, listen, you can be obedient and faithful anywhere. If you can live your faith in front of your family, then you can live your faith anywhere.